to Coffee Hang, or as I should say, Define Style Takeover. For the month of October, I have decided that I want to try something new. I want to switch things up, just keep seeing what sticks. But it's also something that I've just found I actually am really passionate about, and I've been putting more time into this part of my brand. It's called Define, and I want to talk a little bit about what it means today and go into what we've been talking about this week over on Define, talking about layering fall style, lacy shorts, the fashion trends, all of the inspo for fall. We are so excited for fall over on Define. So let's get into it. I've got my coffee here. Cheers. This coffee break is brought to you by my unfolded laundry. Oh, so clean. Oh, so wrinkled. Okay, let's start out. I've talked about this a little bit in other podcast episodes and on my vlog. But if you're new here, if this is your first episode, I'm Molly. Hi. I want to give a little bit of background of my fashion experience, my style experience, just so we get to know each other a little better. I have always loved fashion. I've always just wanted to try new things. I grew up in a house where I was allowed to just style pieces however I wanted. I also grew up in a house where my mom was like, you're not wearing just a t-shirt to school. Like, we've bought you clothes, so you've got to like create multiple outfits. Even if you only have 2 shirts you like you're going to create multiple outfits because you've got to wear that to school. So I think starting from a young age, I have always enjoyed figuring out how to use this one piece in multiple ways, which now that I think about it, is actually very helpful and very resourceful. Thanks, Mom. But I also just love fashion for like self-expression and personality. And then growing up, as my body changed, went through puberty, went through college, like, I have not always had the same body as most of us. Like, we've all evolved and changed. I got my gallbladder removed, so like eating habits changed. All these things, I say all that to say, I kind of had to go through also some mindset changes around fashion as I was growing up and as I was coming into my own. And then when I got to working in retail, which I worked retail for 3 years, I learned so much, because working in a store where women come in and a lot of them love their bodies, but a lot of them don't, and being in that intimate space with them, just that passion that was already there started going outside of myself and how I can help other people or bring awareness to this space. And so that's where you find me here in that story. Is I'm post retail, post all of this. My love for fashion is here. My love for styling is here. I am now a work from home girly. I create content. That's what I do here now. And I've tried a bunch of different things. I'm still trying a bunch of different things. But I keep coming back to fashion and style and how that's an inspiration. And there's so many amazing creators, podcasters, entertainers out there that hit all different kinds of, or all different versions in this world. So I want to be very clear about what version I'm coming into. Is I really just seek to inspire, and I've always been someone who loves Pinterest, loves creating a world, loves creating a theme. Me and my friends love creating a theme for like a birthday party and what we're wearing. Like, that's who I am and how I kind of see the world and how I've always dressed. Even when working in retail, we would have like dress up themes for the weekend, and like how fun that was and how exciting we all would get like together. And maybe it's like a woman thing, I don't know, but it was always so fun. And so as I've have on my profile on Define's bio, it's breaking down style so you can define yours. So where that word define comes from, again, if you're new here, I'll give the quick behind the scenes. I, at the beginning of the year, was starting to feel like it was time for me to leave. Like my season was coming to an end at retail, and I knew I was moving across the city, like all these things. And so I started dreaming about, like, without limits, what it would look like to have my own brand, go into, I didn't know it was going to be like content creating. I didn't know, and there's still stuff that I don't know that it's going to become. It hasn't happened yet. But I remember waking up one morning and having the word define in my head. And I was like, I just remember going to work and just thinking about that word the whole day. And I loved that it wasn't redefine or refine, like it was define. And for me, that has just sculpted the whole way of how I see my brand and what I put out there and what I want to continue to be the voice of is we are the first version of ourselves. We're the OG, the original. There wasn't anything before us. So if that's true, then we get to start the definition of who we are. And that's where my passion of you are the definition of beauty comes in. And that's where I want to try to get all of our minds to. And it's something that you'll get there one day and then it'll be different the next. Like that's just life. But I want to create a community where we get to go through that together and find that within ourselves. And when we lose it, we have other people around us to remind us. So that's a little bit of the backstory around define, and just that word again. It's you are the original version of yourself. So you don't get to redefine something, but you get to start with yourself and pick out your style and pick out how you want to wear clothes that day or how you want to feel that day. Clothes are something that it's a material thing, but when we put it on, it then interacts with more of our emotional, mental side. And I'm someone who's like mind, body, soul, everything all works together. So clothes are something that we're always going to have to deal with. And for me, like I said earlier, have not always had the same body and won't always have the same body. Like our bodies continue to evolve and look different and change season to season. And so it's like, how do I not get tied to that, which it's so easy to. So easy to. But how do I learn to love every phase of my body and every phase of my life that I go through? And not that you'll love it while you're in it, but just looking at it or looking when you're in a low moment and then you're like, wait, I really want to get out of this. Like, what does that look like? That's part of the mission here at Define and what I want to talk about. Going back into us putting on clothes every day, it is something that becomes very mental and emotional. And I've had days where I put clothes on and I'm like, I don't look good. We've all had those moments, or there's something about our body that we don't love. And I'm all here for, if you want to cover something up, cover something up. If you want to dress one way, dress one way. That's where the definition that you get to write comes in. And so that's what we're talking about throughout this community, and how it's also about being aware of yourself and being aware of your body and how you dress. Like, I know for me that I love pants to fit a certain way, or one day I might want to be actually in really baggy pants, but then like, how do I still feel feminine in myself? And what does that like proportional wear look like? All those fun things. So, this coffee break is brought to you by my husband's earplugs. Always around. I was sharing with someone recently. They were like, why is all of this so important? And I told him, I was like, it's one of those things where whether you're into fashion or not, how you put on clothes or who you choose to be for that day, like we all come in contact with that. And so for me, I want to help guide and inspire those moments for you. And I've been in those places where I love who's in the mirror and I don't love who's in the mirror. And so what does it look like to dress my body and feel the most confident and that self-worth element come out? And so that's what throughout this takeover we're going to talk about and we're going to figure out together. And for this week, I have been talking about layered clothing. So our fashion notice for the week is layered looks for fall. You'll have to go check out the Instagram. I'll link it below, but I did a post on it. We do a fashion notice post every week, and all that is just something I'm noticing in the fashion world. I follow a lot of fashion accounts, whether they're like official corporate names or just fashion girlies that I know are always like ahead of the trends. And I also look at Pinterest. I'm always in the magazines, all the things. So I seem to naturally just pick up something that's happening within in the fashion community weekly. And so for this week, layered looks have been coming in, and layered looks have been around for a long, long time. It is one of those things that I have always wanted to achieve and have tried, but it can easily feel like a lot of things are oversized on you, or you just feel like you've got just a paper bag on. And after working in retail and working with women women of all different types, whether they want to be trendy or they want to be more of that traditional, modern, minimalist, whatever it is. I remember women coming in the fall and wanting to achieve these layered looks, but still feel their age. And so for the week, I broke down how I went through this process myself. And so I want to take that onto the podcast and go a little deeper, because you can only put so much in a 1.5 minute reel or in a description box. And I always add my notes in there and what I'm thinking. So I want to have a space where we can go a little bit deeper and talk back and forth about it. Back and forth in the sense of like comment below and I will be there in the comments with you. So let's deep dive into that next. This coffee break is brought to you by the rooster next door. Waking up together, whether you like it or not. Okay, so I'm going to pull up my notes from the reel that I did, if you go back and watch it, or if you've seen it or want to pause and go look at it. And the first thing I started with noting is I pulled a reel and I pulled out my outfits for this. So I was kind of writing things in the moment. But I remember thinking layering is all about playing. It's all about get in front of a mirror, see what works, what doesn't work. I was trying things on. I wish I could have another camera just showing all the craziness. I'm like, no, those shoes won't work, or no, that top doesn't work. And so the biggest thing is to play. I really liked to start, you don't have to do this yourself, but this is just how I did it. I liked to start with a flowy bottom because it just was the easiest foundation for me. It's just where I wanted to start. So I grabbed a flowy trouser that's more of that work pant style. And then I also grabbed a flowy denim, so a wide leg denim or a barrel or a carpenter, something that has some shape to it. And then I also grabbed a couple skirts that I have had in my closet and not really been wearing. And they're featured in the video. And I ended up actually pulling them up as dresses. So it like showed my leg. Because here's the thing about, and maybe we need to just do a back to the basics styling video or series at some point, but I talk a lot about on the Instagram in my notes, proportional wear, balance, definition. What's some other words I'm always using? Illusion, addition, all those things. I don't know if you remember, if you took art class in like middle school. I think at my school, we all had to take it. And do you remember like learning about shading and how you could add dimension and you could take it away? Same thing in makeup, same thing in fashion. So when you look at your body in the mirror, you're not just like one of those like splattered paint blobs. You are beautiful and you have a body, like you have a definition. So knowing what your body looks like, but not letting that stop you or limit you in wanting to try other styles. Like I could always play to pants that come right to my waist and do it with a crop. Like I could always wear stuff like that. But then I miss the fun of like, what if I want to look like I have a really long torso? So I wear something longer and then I have pants underneath that or a little short skirt and then my legs look elongated. Like it's all about illusion. It's all about definition and addition and all those shadings that you remember from art class. So that's a lot of those wordings where I get them from. And why I use them is because I feel like they're pretty universal once you remember the foundation of them. And so it's the same thing when you look in the mirror. So with layering, that easily can fall by the wayside. You easily can just be in an oversized blob. And so part of that video was inspiration to show you ways that I really like to create dimension in my own outfits and that I was sitting there playing with. So in that first outfit, that was such a simple outfit, but if you look at it, I just have a t-shirt on and a vest and trousers. You've kind of lost my body under there, which is great. Sometimes that's the vibe we want. But that's not the vibe I wanted. I still wanted to find dimension. And one of my favorite things to do is to do a little side tuck into my bra because that will show dimension. Or if it's a little side tuck into your pants, or if it's a little tuck here to give you dimension at your shoulders, like play around and just see use your bra and your underwear and just tuck things into it. Like, come on. Or tuck your hair, like all these ways. Like you can go from a full, like voluminous, your hair looks voluminous. I don't know that my hair looks voluminous, but more volume to tucking it in and suddenly there's dimension here. Sorry, this might be a more visual podcast, guys, if you're just listening. Yeah, there's a balance you have to find. When it came to that second outfit, again, it was such a simple look, but I ended up tucking my hair in because everything was so oversized. I had on an oversized sweatshirt, an oversized tee, and I had on like the widest jeans I own. So like everything was so oversized and I was like, Malls, this is like why we can't do layering. And so I ended up tucking my hair and I tried a few different shoes and the only shoes that worked were sleeker options because it helped bring some definition back when my jeans went like right to my ankles. So any sort of boot I had that was sleeker or even a flat that showed my ankle would work perfectly. So I hope some of these words are making sense. If they're not, please drop a comment and let's talk about it. Yeah, so let's talk about illusion and proportion play. I talk a lot about that. And the pants in the video that are cuffed, that whole outfit is an illusion. So, when we wear jeans or pants that touch the floor, like that is showing our exact length of our legs, right? But as soon as we do anything cropped or cuffed, it is raising that sideline. And so in that outfit, I raised it even more. And I went to my mid calf. And I remember thinking, okay, if I'm going to do these, then let's play with a boot that comes to that exact line in with those pants. And so that's what I did. But the key there was still showing a little bit of like my leg or my calf or something, so that it wasn't just like cuff boot, unless I had a really tight boot. And all my tight boots are pretty long, so that's why I went with a shorter boot. But then the jacket that was on top, one of my favorite tips is, and I know I'm not alone, after working in retail, I met so many other women who also have the same hobby as me, and that's collecting jackets. But there's so many jackets in your closet that you might not realize can actually just be shirts. Like, yeah, wear whatever underneath that's comfortable for you. But that in that video, that jacket I have on, I was like, you know what? Let me just treat it as a top. So I buttoned it all the way and I had on a little crop top underneath, because I don't always just love having a jacket on and just my bra. Sometimes I'm just sweaty, you know those things. And so I ended up wearing that, and it's a pretty it's almost like a bomber quilted jacket, and it can be pretty poofy and lose my dimension and proportion. And so I ended up doing a little side tuck into my jeans, and it doesn't always stay. And that's why sometimes I use my bra, or even if you want to wear a longer tank that's tight or a longer sports bra and tuck it in there, I've done that too. Whatever can just keep hold of it. So yeah. This coffee break is brought to you by My Kitchen Table, a landing place for all. All is welcome. So I keep talking a lot about finding your dimension and finding your definition. And so why I say that is because I had a lot of moments working with customers that they wouldn't dress to their body type. And you don't always have to. But what I mean by that is I just don't know that they were just trying to cover everything up. And so, which again, there are days when I want to cover my legs because I don't want to show them, or I want to cover my arms because I don't, like, I get it. I totally get it. I'm there on every other day, dressing to our body type or giving ourselves dimension is honestly like self-expression. Again, it's not something that you have to do every day. Some days I do not want to show any of my curves, and I am in an oversized everything. So that's one option. But if you do want to show a little personality, like for me, I know when I'm feeling my most confident, like I want to do a little tuck and like find my waistline, or I want to show a little leg and make them feel elongated. So it's one of those things where it's like, again, go back to playing and just see and just try it out. And even if you don't want to show skin, which a lot of the women I worked with didn't, you can still play with dimension. So going back to that outfit that was a sweatshirt, a tee, and those baggy jeans, we still found dimension. My tee was longer than my sweatshirt, and so I just tucked the sweatshirt and the tee a little bit, but I pulled it down so that you still could see the tee, but I still had this definition in the side of my outfit. And so it didn't look like I was just a blob. Like, it still felt like it had personality. I felt confident. I felt like there was still some sort of figure under there. And that's the same with when you get ready every morning. And it might not even be like a top that you're going to, but even if it's a skirt or if it has a slit, like playing to that dimension in your body and not just covering it up. So there's a little challenge for you this week, seeing how you can love on your body a little bit more and bring yourself out of your comfort zone. I'm doing that today with my shorts on. And so we're just doing it together. This coffee break is brought to you by my car keys. Never in my purse, always in my husband's bowl. One of my favorite things about fashion and layering and just fall is I feel like you get to pull a lot of different pieces from different categories out of your closet and try them on. So I talk a lot about masculine and feminine clothes. And in the fashion world, that just helps you kind of create categories because anyone can wear anything. But all that is just giving yourself categories. So when you look in your closet, I'm sure not everything you have is just a button down. Like, I'm sure you have some sort of frilly, dressier top that is a little bit more feminine. And then you've got a very structured button down that is actually more masculine. And so it's like, what would it look like to pair those categories together instead of always having feminine top, feminine bottom, feminine shoes, feminine accessories, or masculine top, masculine bottom, masculine shoes, masculine accessories? It's like, how do we take that and not limit ourselves and put those categories together? And so that is one of my favorite things to do in my own style. I'm more street style, sporty, with a little bit of femme. I don't always love being fully in a preppy outfit. I don't feel like myself. I tried to dress like that a few times working in retail, and I just always felt overdressed or just not myself. If that's your style, that's beautiful. Like my sister, she has a completely different style than I do. She is more preppy and traditional, even more minimalist, I would say, in her fashion with a little bit of sport. And so one of the things for you that I challenge you to try to figure out this week, this month, just about yourself, because it will be so helpful, is like pick 3 words. What style are you? And if you're not even sure where to start, like go to Pinterest and just type in different words, because I didn't always know what style I was. It wasn't until I was trying a bunch of different vibes that I figured out what I love. And then from there, it's a little bit easier if you're not sure what to wear one day and you want to type it on Pinterest or on Instagram or wherever, sporty chic style or bohemian minimalist. Trying to think what that outfit would look like, but anything like that. And so it's like, figure that out about yourself and then go into your closet whenever you're getting dressed and think about those different categories and what it would look like to pair even high-low together. So let's talk about high-low. So you've got feminine and masculine, and then you've also got high-low dressing, and it's a little bit the same thing. But not everyone sees their clothes as feminine and masculine, so I like to also talk high-low. So high would be like a really dressy piece in your closet. So it could be a pair of heels. It could be a lacy skirt. It could be a pearl top. Can you tell I'm looking in my closet right now? A low could be a pair of denim. A low could be a white tee. A low could be sneakers. All those things. And so what does it look like whenever you have on a high piece, so a pearl sheer top? What would it look like to try a low piece with that? So 2 different categories. So pearl sheer top with a long denim short. That's kind of cool. And then from there, a high or low shoe. I would probably end up in a boot. A lot of those long shorts just look better in a boot, don't they? Or a little kitten heel. So I can go into that more in the future, but that always helps me in my brain. I kind of always need a formula. I love math. I love formulas. And so that's kind of what we were talking about this week over on Define, was finding a formula for fall layering, and a high-low formula will also just help you get out of your comfort zone. Or when you get dressed in the morning, okay, I'm going to have work trousers on today. That is probably a high. So how can I still look put together but pick a low from my closet? So maybe it's a white tee tucked in, and then I'm going to grab a cardigan and throw it around my shoulders. And then I'm going to pull an unexpected shoe. Always trying something unexpected somehow sparks so much joy. I hope I'm not alone in this. When I have on, like, I've done my high-low or I've done my feminine masculine, and I look in the mirror and I'm like, now what's unexpected? And sometimes it's a bold choker necklace or a bold lip or no mascara, or for me, my unexpected is normally always my shoe, because for some reason I always do shoes last unless I've got like a new pair of shoes that I'm just like so excited for. But in that outfit, if you've got on like these flowy work trousers and then you've got your tee tucked in with a cardigan over your shoulders, it's like, okay, what shoe would be unexpected? Maybe like a pointed toe, flat Mary Jane that's red. I'm just thinking about what's in my closet. That would be so unexpected traditionally from that outfit. Love it. I'm so excited. I've got on red shoes today.
This coffee break is brought to you by my husband's car keys. Never in his bowl, always in my purse.
So one of the last things I want to chat about is when you're making this fall layered look, go and get inspiration. Go on Pinterest and look at that. But don't always assume that you don't have that piece. When I got married and left my job, Evan and I chose that together. And so we also chose a lesser budget. And so just being real. And so I don't always go and buy when I see something that I want. So, and I've not always been able to do that. So I say that to say, it's been a really cool challenge to be like, wait, I might actually have that in my closet. And so when I was looking at these, I had went on Pinterest first and I looked at these layered Pinterest gals and I was like, wait, I might have some things that work for this. And it was kind of like me needing to put on a different pair of glasses when I went into my closet. And then I saw, oh, I do actually have this or that. Let me try this and that. And a big part of my passion here with Define is just to inspire. If you want to buy things, buy them. If you don't. It doesn't bother me. My LTK is affiliated links. I feel like everyone knows that. I get the smallest amount. If you want to buy through them, cool. If you don't, cool. But I say that to say, I really just want to inspire with these looks. And even if it's inspire you to do a clean out so that you can get new things. I just did that actually. I was just cleaning some stuff out and I was like, I honestly need to clean out before I can put anything in my closet. Because it's almost like when you got too many things, you can't see the rest. Anyways, I talked about that in the last episode, but that was my little caveat for the week. But I just have been in the space and around fashion long enough to know that that's a pressure in this space, but that's not a pressure that we are going to have in this community. And we'll keep coming back to that conversation. And A, you probably have it already in your closet. B, there's plenty of reuse sites or a thrift store or whatever. Or C, you can buy whatever you want, you know? So all that to say, this is a space of there's no shame to buy or not to buy or thrift or not. Do your thing. Okay? Okay. Okay, I think that is pretty much all I have for fall layered style for this week. This episode will be coming out on Friday. I will also be posting every Friday. I post Friday fashion screenshots. So make sure to go check those out over on Define's Instagram. And all that post is, if you haven't seen those yet, if you're new here, is things that I have saved throughout the week. I've screenshotted, I've pinned, I've saved, and I just put them all in a little post. It's like 5 to 6 photos, and I comment on why I found these things inspiring or what I'm making a note about here, and I just share that with you. So that's all it is. Check it out. If you're listening to this or watching this on Friday, it's up. So next week, we're going to talk a little bit about October and what vibe, trends, smells, foods, not foods, smells, colors, patterns, all the fashion things that I am seeing for October. And I can't wait to get into it. How is it already October? This is crazy. So thank you so much for listening, or if you're watching here on YouTube, thank you. And I will see y'all in the next one. Bye, guys.